Hey guys, Ray from loveyourrv.com. Well, it's a nice cool day on the estuary today, so perfect day for installing my new Lion Energy lithium batteries. So I'll go through it and show you how I'm going to install them, set them up, stuff like that. Okay, so I'm going to reuse my battery box that I had bought for the 4 golf cart batteries. It's a nice heavy plastic box. These batteries don't vent in any way, so I don't need to put them in a box and vent them, but it's just a convenient place to set up my batteries. Also, I can keep them isolated, you know, because when you have a lot of wiring across 12 volts, these things can put out a heck of a lot of current, so you don't want something falling across the connections. So if they're in the battery box with a lid, that'll protect them. Also, I can probably secure them a little better because a little concerned about theft too. You know, it's a lot of cash, and they're pretty easy to walk away with at 20 pounds. So I'm probably going to take this box and I'm going to run screws through the bottom so it'll be affixed to the metal plate in the bottom of my storage compartment. Then I can figure out a way to lock the lid. The other thing I got to do is make sure they don't bounce around in there. We travel through a lot of rough roads when we're traveling, so I put a kind of a little slit in each side. I'm going to run a strap through, so there will be some strapping to hold them down, keep them from bouncing, and then there'll be a space on the other side, so I'm going to use some of the foam that came with it, just to keep them from moving this way. And also it's going to be a perfect place to store my extension cord, so that'll help it from moving that way, so it won't move up and it won't move that. It'll keep them nice and secure, so I don't have to worry about anything else with them. Just wire them all up. They did come to me, they were shipped here. If you're listening, you probably hear a lot of birds here. You might hear eagles and all kinds of birds, lots of wildlife going on. Anyway, they came, they were 60% charged. Now they're 100, these two are 100. I've actually already charged them. I'll show you how I charged them. I got one more to charge. But they come at 60, between 40 and 60% charge. That's just shipping rules that they've come up with. So they can't ship, especially I think to Canada, you can't ship them fully charged. So the first thing I have to do is charge them. And when they said in the manual you have to charge each individually before you hook them in a bank, so I have to hook them up and charge them each individually, then I can hook them together. So let's show you how I'm gonna charge the battery before I hook it all together. Okay, all the old interstate golf cart batteries are off out of there, and I've got one hooked up here, a couple meters on. I got my fluke meter and this little shunt meter to let me know what's going on. There's not really that much solar today, so I'm going to use the InteliPower charge converter here, and it worked really well. With the Charge Wizard, I can manually override its lead acid charging algorithm that it has, and it will put out 14.4 just to put out a consistent boost voltage, and they came right up. And I talked to Lion, once they hit 100%, I'm good to go. So as you see, 3 there, 3 bars, 60%. So we'll plug in the InteliPower, and if you saw my videos before, I put in a dedicated charge port because I do a lot of charging with that using my generator. So we'll just plug that in and see what the current is. Okay, charge converter on, and we're getting 43 amps, pretty steady in there. I have the solar on too at the same time. It's putting in a little bit, but most of the work's being done by that charge converter. Let's check our voltages at 13.56. And there's the Charge Wizard. When that light is steady, it's in its bulk charging mode, it's boost mode, so it says it's supposed to be 14.4 or something like that. Anyway, it worked with the other 2 batteries. They came right up, kind of put a solid 40 or 45 amps in until it came right up to 100%. So we'll let that go. Stay tuned. Shouldn't take too long charging at over 40 amps, maybe 20 minutes, half an hour or so. And just sit back, have some lunch, watch the wildlife. Hey, Mr. Eagle. Okay, suddenly the voltage, amperage is starting to drop and the voltage is going up. The BMS is kicking in there and shutting down the charging. Just check up here. And we have 100%. So we're good to go. We got 3 batteries all charged up. And InteliPower did the trick. Okay, so first I'm going to screw my battery box down into the metal floor. You can see I have some eye hooks in here. That was from the strapping I had to hold the box down before. So I'm going to reuse those. One will be for strapping the batteries, one will be hold the lid on. So first thing is I'll put about 6 screws into this just to hold the box down. There we go. 6 tech screws down in there. It's the ones that bite into the metal. They use in most of the RVs, so that's going to hold that in place really firm. Oh, that was much nicer lifting these batteries in than those big golf cart batteries. So I got it all wired up here. See if I can get a good angle to show you guys. It's kind of a tight quarters in here. So you can see they're wired in parallel. Get the positive coming off of one end here and the negative coming off of the other. I was able to reuse my my jumpers from my 4 golf cart battery bank. Just ignore these red. That was because when you're putting them in series, they were black and red. So this is the negative side and the positive side. Also put some shims in the battery box. I used some of the styrofoam that came in the battery packing and it fit nicely in there and on this side too. So, and then at the back here, to get in there, you can see I laid down some styrofoam as well. Pieces, cut them up. I didn't destroy all the boxes. I kept one packing box complete just in case I have to send one back. It has the right styrofoam, but man, that fit really nice in there, and that'll keep the batteries from moving around. And then I'm going to put a strap across the top of them to keep them from jumping up and down, so I think they're going to be really secure that way. Looking good, looking good. So what I'm going to do now is I turned off the dum-dum converter, charge converter that came with the rig. And I'm just going to use my solar panels on these batteries for a while, see how that goes. So we'll just go set up the this Bogart charge controller. I'm going to go inside and show you how I set it up with a Trimetric monitor to program it to run the lithium batteries. So next I'm going to set up my charge controller. So I have the Bogart Engineering SC2030 solar charge controller. And with its companion here, the Trimetric TM2030, they're kind of a package. I can control the solar controller through here, and I can set up all the different parameters. I got my chart here from the manual. I actually contacted Bogart Engineering and got the recommended settings for lithium. I've also talked to Line Energy and sent them these settings, and they said this charger will work with their batteries as well. Now, before I go too far, I know what people will say. That's a PWM charger, and you should get an MPP charger. You're a fool, blah, blah, blah. Well, the backstory of this system was when I went to get a charger, I wanted to get as much flexibility and custom settings as I could. I didn't just want to throw something in. And back then, we're talking almost 4 years ago, MPP chargers were quite expensive. So I got the charger for this for $120 and mated with this. It's very sophisticated. Like right now, I'm setting up my lithium batteries. If I had bought a charger back then, it might not have been capable of doing that. So $120, and kind of the cheapest quality MPPT back then was around $300. So I was able to buy a whole extra solar panel And even, you know, I could spend it on batteries or solar panels. So, you know, people say, oh, you're going to get 30% more charge out of an MPPT. Well, that can be the case, and that's only in certain times. Most cases, you're going to get maybe 15%, maybe 20%. So if you throw on another solar panel, well, there you go. You've equaled that. So that was my logic. And it's worked well for the last 4 years of boondocking. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I know as soon as people see this, they're going to be commenting like that. Anyway, I was just going to go through quickly and show you the settings in case you have one of these chargers. If you don't, basically I'm just going to be setting the parameters for the lithium to bulk charge, and then at the end stop the charge, and then it will just go into a very low float charge. And then I'm also going to put in some of the settings to match how many batteries I have, so that this thing can keep track of the percentage charged. If you want to skip ahead, I'll put the timestamp in the video. So first, what we got to do is get into the parameter mode. So we just hold down select till we see P1. There's P1 there. So he says P1, you want 14.3 or 14.4. The max charging on these batteries is 14.6. I think I'll go with 14.4, see how that works. I can always tweak things in the future. So I just press these two buttons. And then when the lights are flashing, I press the reset button, 14.4, select. The next parameter, P2, is charged amp set point. If the current threshold below which the charging current must be reduced before signaling battery charge. So they want 2% here, and it's the default is 2%. So I'll leave that. P3, that's your battery capacity. Yeah, I want to change that. And we'll go to 300. Not exactly sure on this. I'll have to maybe tweak that in the future, because I think the usable capacity is 90 amp hours. So I'm going to put 300 because that's what they advertise, but I may have to tweak that in the future. So we'll just go select that. P4, that's whether you want amps or watts displayed. That doesn't mean anything. P5, I want off. That's days since charged. I'll leave that off for now. And days since equalized, I definitely don't need that because these batteries don't need to be equalized. P7, you got to change that if you want to unlock more advanced settings. Let's see. On 4 here, select now. That'll move me to P8. And P8, maximum voltage limit. And he's saying you want to set that for the maximum your RV can handle, not the batteries. He said you don't want to set it to the max for the batteries, or it'll mess up the programming in this. So we're going to set that for 15.3, because that's the max. I set that at 15.3 before, just so it doesn't, because 15.5 my inverter will shut down, and that's bad. Okay. Especially if Anne is on her computer and the inverter shuts down, she's processing some fancy photo, then my name would be Mud. So I don't want that to happen, and I found 15.3 has been good for that. And we'll go 9, some kind of alarm. I'll just leave that for now. 10 is your battery efficiency, comes at 94 because you're usually using AGM or lead acid, but we want 98. That's what they say for the lithium. Select that. P11 shunt type, and I have H, which is the 500 amp shunt. So that's good. Yeah, H means 500 amp. P12, auto reset when off, percent full and amp hours are not automatically reset. We'll just leave that alone. He didn't say to change anything there. P13 low battery voltage alarm. Just leave that for now. I can tweak that later. P14 maximum finish charge time in hours until float. He said leave that at 0 because you don't need a finished charge like you do on the lead acids. P15, he said high finish charge voltage. He said 12.8. 12.8, select. And P16 float voltage. He said same thing, 12.8. P17 shows how many hours after now, the daily history data. I'll just leave that alone. P18. Okay, P18 is a calibration voltage. Just leave that alone. P19 is to reset the factory settings. That's what I did to erase all my old settings. P20 high finish charge, or no. Percent overcharge. So I want that off. I think because on the lead acid you have to put in more juice than you take out, but they don't want to do that for lithium, so set that off. P21 finish charge current. I won't be finishing charges on this. That's a lead acid thing as well, so same thing, we're going to put that to off. There we go, off. And the final P22, and that's off as well. What was that? Battery charge profiles. Okay, P22, the Bogart controller, what they do is they contact a bunch of lead acid people like Interstate and Trojan, and they get the parameters, so it's kind of a quick shortcut for people. You can go in there and you can set up the brand of battery that you bought. That was a really cool feature. So we're finished with that. There we are. Now we're totally set up for charging these batteries. It'll take a while for the percentage to sort itself out. It has to discharge and recharge, usually a couple times. But that's it. That's all there is to it. Kind of nice that it programs like that. So let's continue on. Okay, so that's all set up. The battery bank fully charged is sitting at 13.39 volts currently. And we don't have anything really going in and out. A little trickle bit of solar today. Right now it's feeding anything the rig is demanding as far as 12 volt loads going. We don't use very much when we're on hookups. So let me finish the strapping here and show you how I'm going to have this set up for travel. Here's my DIY hold down solution. So grab that eye hook there with a strap. Got camo so it's disguised. Reuse some more of that styrofoam just to protect the batteries. I don't know how much force they can take. They're all plastic, right? And on the other side there. Sorry about the angles, it's kind of a squished affair in here to get the camera in. It's wide, but not that wide. There we go, batteries installed. Now that box is in there strong. A lot of people have asked me about this box. Where did I get it? It's a really common question. I got it in Victoria, BC at a marine supply store, Industrial Plastics and Paints. They also sell marine stuff, and they had a lot of different plastic boxes there. But it's actually made in, I think, Richmond, British Columbia, which is a suburb of Vancouver, British Columbia. But I have found it online in the US for my American friends at, I think it's All Battery Sales and Service. I'll link to it because I've given out that link to a lot of people. They are really interested in these plastic boxes. There you go, guys. That's my install of the Lion Energy Safari UT 12 volt batteries. A couple things I didn't mention. One is on my Bogart solar controller. I removed the temperature sensor. There was a sensor attached to the batteries that would measure the battery temperature and adjust the charging when it got cold, and that's a lead acid thing, so I didn't need that for the lithiums. They're not affected that way. Also, when I tighten the terminals, they don't have a standard nut like say my interstate batteries or Trojan batteries, and they usually have a torque spec for doing up the nuts. I contacted Line and they said as long as you can tighten them up, hand tighten them, he called it tool tightening, until the lugs don't move anymore. So I used a 10-inch crescent wrench, and you can see I insulated the handles so I don't get some sparks if I hit terminals, or worst case scenario short them. So you don't want to use any metal tools, and tighten them up like that. As far as charging goes, you saw how I set up the solar controller there for the charging specs. Lion Energy recommends, one of the chargers they recommend is called an IOTA charger, and they have a add-on to their charge converter called the IQ-LIFEPO, and with that add-on it'll charge the batteries properly. So you just have to investigate when you put these in your rig. Every rig has different chargers in there, so you may be okay, or you may have to upgrade your chargers. Basically, the batteries will work with the regular lead acid charge converter, especially if it's set to the AGM setting. But to get the best performance and the longest life, you want to match the lithium batteries with a more modern lithium compatible charger. So going forward, I'm going to do, next video will be a Q&A type video, so I'll be answering a lot of the commonly asked questions I'm getting. Folks are interested and have asked a lot of different questions. I'll probably do a video where I go through and test the batteries out, kind of load test them, charge test them, and then down the road I'll have my review after I've used them for a while and put them through their paces. The company's talking about giving me a promo code for you guys, so you can get a little bit better deal if you buy straight from them through my promo code rather than with a dealer or something. They'll probably match what the dealers are offering, so it's always nice to buy right from the manufacturer. And I've created a video playlist for my Lion Energy series of videos, so I'll link to that in the description, or you can hit the notification bell on my video channel, or you could join my newsletter just to be alerted when the new videos come out. Thanks for watching. Till next time, Ray from loveyouRV.com. Cheers, everyone.